Let me ask you something. If a guy flies first class to London, buys a condo in Vancouver, sends his kids to an Ivy League school, and then tells you the West is decadent and China's system is superior, do you laugh or do you clap? Because here's the twist. He might actually believing it, and he is not alone. A lot of Chinese elites, well traveled and well educated, still cling to the CCP style nationalism. Why? Well, travel changes your view out the window. It doesn't always change the software running in your head. This isn't just about brainwashing, it's also about survival, pride, and paychecks. CCP nationalism gives elites a package deal: moral identity, social status, and practical protection. It's rational, not dumb. So let's peel it back layer by layer. I call it airport nationalism. You see it at the boarding gates: luxury bags, Apple Watch, global life. But talk politics, and boom, the armor snaps on. Now, don't confuse this with the nationalism of ordinary folks inside China. That is purely emotional and often loud. People genuinely convinced the West disrespects China, venting online or in the streets. For them, it's identity. Airport nationalism is different. For elites, it's polished, bilingual, and pragmatic. They'll defend China at Davos, clap at party congress, and then wire tuition money to Stanford. It's not just belief, it's a survival strategy. And paradoxically, travel doesn't kill this form of nationalism. It often makes it stronger. Because when you hear Western criticism, sometimes sharp, sometimes sloppy, it feels like an attack on you, and defensiveness kicks in. So the first layer is identity. And once you understand how identity is fused to the party, the rest makes sense. From school books to TV dramas, the CCP hammered one idea: the party is China and China is you. To question one is to betray the other. Adding the century of humiliation narrative, foreign invasions, carved up territories, and you wire a deep emotional loop which says, never humiliated again. But pride alone doesn't buy your apartment in Shanghai, and that is where incentives come in. Think about it. You are an elite running a company, managing a fund, sitting on assets. Your whole career depends on party goodwill. Land approvals, subsidies, contracts, these are political favors, not free markets. Openly rejecting CCP's nationalism, that's suicide. So you perform royalty, and over time, performance hardens into belief. And here's the irony: the same pattern shows up even when these elites go abroad. People say studying overseas makes Chinese liberal. Wrong. Many Chinese elites abroad still live in Chinese bubbles. Chinese friends, Chinese food, Chinese social media, Chinese WeChat groups, comfort zone intact. So instead of rewiring identity, overseas life often reinforces it. And when they do step outside the bubble, that's when backlash begins. Western criticism of China, sometimes fair, sometimes sloppy, lands without context. It doesn't sound like policy critique. It sounds like a personal assault. They're not attacking the government. They're attacking me personally. And just like that, the CCP's favorite line that the world never accepts us feels true in the gut. So nationalism becomes a shield against this sting of exclusion and a sword to fight back with pride. That pride makes sense emotionally. But let's talk about why it's convenient too. Here's the trick. Nationalism doubles as a VIP pass. You clap in the right places, post the right slogans online, stand tall against foreign narratives, and then you are politically untouchable. And it gives moral cover. Yeah, sure, I park my capital in Singapore and send my kid to Boston, but hey, I defend the nation online. I'm a patriot. That's not just hypocrisy. That is a deal. And it all sits on top of one grand narrative. The myth goes like this. Without centralized strengths, China collapses. With strengths, prosperity comes. Freedoms, maybe later. This narrative is seductive because it justifies everything. Control equals maturity, censorship equals stability, and your personal wealth depends on national success. And once you've swallowed the narrative, the information system makes sure you never spit it out. Even abroad, these Chinese still tailored to China's ecosystem. WeChat groups, Chinese media, censored platforms. Meanwhile, state media packages every crisis as an external plot to undermine China, and every win as proof of the Chinese model. And then the social media algorithm does the rest. But wait, don't some of those elites privately know better? Of course, in private, I've heard it all. Of course, there are many problems in China. The GDP numbers don't add up. And stay away from the nasty Chinese politics. But the second the door opens, the public voice is back, which I think it's rational. They're playing the game. Protect family, career, and sense of social belonging. Which brings us to the reality. This isn't blind belief. It's like a portfolio. Think of it like a balance sheet. On the side of the assets, there's the national pride, safety of the family, contracts, social status associated with CCP's nationalism. On the liabilities side, there's doubt, anxiety, occasional embarrassment. As long as assets outweigh liabilities, the nationalist story stayed solvent. But balance sheets shift, and when they do, ideology cracks. If economic growth stagnates, if crackdowns get harsher, if international isolation hits their wallets and kids' futures, that is when the math changes. Not because of philosophy, but because of cost. Ideologies don't collapse in debate. They collapse when they stop paying. So the next time you meet a globe-trotting Chinese nationalist with the Swiss watch and fancy Western diplomas, don't just call them a hypocrite. See the calibration. He's not confused. He's optimized. And until that calibration stops working, socially, financially, psychologically, the mix of CCP-style nationalism and pragmatism will keep winning.